Hello, and welcome to the Fantasy Rewind podcast. I'm your co-host, Dylan Stoll, and I'm joined as always by my friend Mike.
Hey!
So today, we are hopping back on the House of the Dragon with episode 2, which is titled...
Rhaenyra the Cruel. Dylan,
Rhaenyra the Cruel. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Would you say that we are riding the dragon?
We are riding the dragon. We are riding the dragon here. And we are in season 2 as well, I should mention that. Because if this was season 1 and I said episode 2 and went through the things we're doing, that would be a little bit misleading. But yeah, season 2, episode 2, Rhaenyra the Cruel. Off to a killer start here. All right. Before we get into the episode breakdown, I'm just going to give out some typical reminders. If you want to get in contact with the show, you can send us an email, which is fantasyrewindpod@gmail.com. We're also on Instagram, which is @fantasyrewindpod, and also X, which is @fantasyrewind. All right, without any farther delay, Mike, let's head into the rewind.
Fantasy Rewind. All right, Dylan. So, this episode was twinning. We had retaliation after the fallout of the first episode with the baby Targaryen dying in his cradle. I don't remember his name. Jaehaerys?
I think so.
Yeah. Which is ironic, too, because Jaehaerys was...
the name of the father.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, who died. In his bed. But, yeah, we had some fallout from that. Rhaenyra being, like... devastated, like honestly upset over the fact that this baby died because it hadn't done anything, right? It was an innocent, and she was like, surely they can't believe I would have done something like this. Daemon sitting over there just like, well, you're not completely out of the woods, because it comes to light that he had made the decision that retaliation needed to happen for her son dying, and that was for him to go into King's Landing last episode and, orchestrate the whole thing with blood and cheese. Now, Dylan, I am interested to hear some of the differences between, like, the lore in the book, if you will, than what happened in this particular episode, specifically in regards to if blood and cheese were actually caught in the book or not, because I thought it was kind of surprising that they were caught, right? They caught blood with the baby's head. Right.
He tried to escape with the baby's decapitated head and was caught. Definitely caught.
So stupid. And in order to get cheese, they hung every single rat catcher that worked for them.
It was a little brutal, but effective. Caught him.
And it was really interesting because there was a lot of political interplay here with that.
Yes.
Which I liked. I thought that was, like, interesting. The hand was like, okay, well, we're going to use this. Even if Rhaenyra didn't do it, we're going to blame this on her because that's going to sway all these other people to be like, oh, yeah, we don't support a baby killer. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was really devious, right?
It was devious, it was shrewd, and it was definitely something that Otto Hightower would do.
Yeah. Which he is no longer the hand of the king anyway, so I guess he's kind of out of that position now. But it was a move that most of the family did not support, or begrudgingly supported.
Begrudgingly supported, yeah. They understood the logic behind it, but they were still hurting, and they didn't want to put on this display, this act, basically, and use the baby's death for political means, even though it was effective.
It was, because obviously most of the kids, or most of the people, were like, what? Rhaenyra's so cruel, like, how dare she? And they were really sympathizing with the grieving mother there, who, it was really interesting, her response to, like, the people, like, reaching out to her and stuff. She was like, I don't want anything to do with you.
Mm-hmm. No, she was a little, like, anti-everybody at that part there, where she was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be looking at you. I don't want to be touched by you. It was a situation where she kind of betrayed some of the goodwill of the commoners they were trying to buy by the act.
Yeah. And then also, too, the rat catcher hanging also betrayed.
Oh, yeah.
The
And
goodwill.
that really is where I think we should have, like, our first discussion about what's actually going on in the episode here. Because what went down is that without consulting anybody, the king himself decided to say, you know what? Let's hang every rat catcher. And as soon as Otto Hightower found out about this, he was appalled. He was furious. They just destroyed any goodwill they just bought with the display of the boy's dead body. And he goes in and explains that to the king. And as he's doing so, that's when they have their little spat saying how, oh, you weren't my choice for Hand of the King. You were my father's hand. You were his father's hand. You know, you've been around this for a while, Otto Hightower, but guess what? You're not my hand no more. Hand in your badge.
And surprisingly, he doesn't give it to Strong.
No, he doesn't give it to Larys Strong, who I was half expecting to get it. And then, what does he do instead, Mike?
He throws it to the guy who's banging his wife.
Sir Kristen Cole.
His mom. Sir Kristen Cole.
Yes.
Yeah. I forgot what happened to Tristan Strong's brother. Didn't he get them killed? He killed his brother and his dad.
So yeah, Larys Strong, in order to claim the title of like Lord Strong, he ended up murdering his own father and his older brother by setting them on fire at their house.
Yeah, and the Strong's brother there was actually the husband of, well,
not the husband, but the illegitimate father of Rhaenyra's children.
Kids.
Before she married Daemon.
I forgot about that for a minute.
Oh yeah, there's so much backstabbing, so much incestuous relationships, so much stuff going on here. It's hard to keep track of sometimes.
And Tristan Strong is really just kind of like in the shadows orchestrating a lot of this. And
Larys Strong is just hiding in the shadows, just kind of hiding out there, doing his little Master of Whispers thing.
Yes. Now, he did plant the seed about the new hand, and also in this episode, he kind of still got the king what he wanted, right? Retribution.
Right.
He actually had him go and question, well, not really question.
Well, torture and murder Blood himself.
Yes. After Blood pretty much just like saw the tools, and he just like told everything to him. Which I don't blame him. Looking at those things, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'd rather get, I guess, beat to death with a cudgel than tortured with those. Either way, I'm sure it wasn't great.
I'm sure it didn't feel great.
And I'm glad they didn't show it. In this episode, though, we have Sir Kristen Cole really going through some stuff, because he kind of gets accused by the king, like, where were you? And he's just like, oh, crap, like, I was with your mom.
Right, I can't say that, obviously, though.
Yeah, I was abed, my lord. And, like, he's, like, going off on him, well, you should be protecting my heir, my legacy. And I was like, yeah. I was like, he's going through the guilt. And this has happened to him before, too.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't seem to learn his lesson.
Mm-mm.
And by the end of this episode, he doesn't learn his lesson either. He then takes the fact that he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing and goes after another one of the Knights Guard. Not Sir Eric.
Yeah.
He's the one I remember.
He was Sir Eric eventually, but it was somebody else first. I forget who, but he starts taking out his frustration with himself on everybody else. Like, starts berating everyone for having a dirty white cloak, even though they were literally just... That was Sir Eric? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. What's his brother's name, though?
They're both Eric.
Oh. Okay, never mind. Then yes. So Sir Eric, he sits there and he's berating him, and the whole reason is because he wants to do something about the fact that he didn't do anything before, right? He's trying to, like, in my eyes, he's like covering his tracks and trying to make himself feel better, because it wasn't his fault. It was all these other people's fault. And so he basically tells Sir Eric, like, you want to make things right? Well, you're going to go kill Queen Rhaenyra. And how are you going to do that? By yourself? By impersonating your brother. Because your brother is a traitor, and so that means you're kind of a traitor too. How do we know that you didn't orchestrate this? And it's like, Sir Eric's like, dude, like, I'm here.
Right.
And it really is unfair. And unfortunately, the people who lose here are the Erics.
Right, the people that lose here are the innocent people, or the people that are actually loyal in doing their due diligence and their job and everything, because Kristen Cole sends Sir Eric to his death, basically, and Sir Eric's like, my lord, this is a suicide mission, I'm gonna die. And he's like, or you're gonna find glory. And it's like, really, dude? Really? You can't just be honest and say, yeah, so? And send him to his death anyway? But he plays some mind games, plays the whole guilt trip on someone else to satisfy his own feelings of inadequacy, and sends Sir Eric to go kill the queen, or go kill Rhaenyra.
Yeah, and I mean, the king was super thrilled about this. This is actually what got Kristen Cole the hand job.
Yeah. See, I wasn't gonna go there. I was going with hand ship.
I didn't realize what it was until I said it out loud. Yeah.
So the king gave Kristen Cole the hand job.
Yes. But because he took action, right? And that's something he was throwing in Otto's face. And Otto's just like, after he lost, his job to Kristen Cole, he's like sitting there telling his daughter, they're gonna, they're both just like young bucks. Like they don't see the big picture. They just see like the small frame. Like, oh, they did this to me, so I'm gonna do this to them. He's like, we're poorer for this. Like the fact that Jaehaerys isn't around anymore. Like somebody who wanted peace and worked for peace.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're gonna be the worse off for this. And she's feeling all types of way guilty because she was like, oh yeah, I've been with Cole. Like I should tell my dad. And she's trying to confess, and he's like, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And it's probably better that he didn't, because if he did, he'd be like,
you took my job. You took my daughter.
Yeah. Well, actually, too, he might also be like, well, you can use that against him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because at the end of the episode, even though she was like shutting the door in his face and like, oh, we're not like together anymore, like they end up hooking up at the end of the episode, right? Because he comes in, he's just like, I'm taking what's mine. Like, I'm the hand of the king now. I'm all this, like, and a bag of chips, and you're my lady. And she's just like, yes, I'm your lady. And that's, I mean, she didn't say that out loud. But, like,
no.
Definitely kind of the vibes I got, which isn't good, because now you have two hotheads, one with an overinflated ego who overcompensates for the fact that he's not doing his job, and half the time in great positions of power and leading this war console. So bad things are going to happen. We know that's all that's coming out of this.
So switching over to the Rhaenyra side of things here, we can just resolve the revelation that Daemon ordered the murder of Jaehaerys to happen. And when this happens, Rhaenyra gives that scene that we saw in the trailer where she's like, do you accept me as your queen and ruler? And Daemon just doesn't answer. And that's when she's like, Daemon, I just can't trust you. You're my husband. You're the father of our children, but I can't trust you. Get on out of here. So Daemon's like, you know what? I'm going to Harrenhal. I'm going to go secure our footing in the Riverlands. I'm going to show you how useful I can be and that you do need me to do this. And so he takes his dragon and he flies away. And Rhaenyra kind of retires to her room. And that's when the treacherous Eric comes in, worming his way through the castle.
Yeah, and I do want to add in, there is one other scene with Rhaenyra, and that's with Daemon's former lover. And
the White Worm.
The White Worm. Great. And they're sort of talking back and forth, and Rhaenyra, even though she was very hesitant to do so, does give her freedom because Daemon had promised it to her. And we don't see it happen, but it can kind of be inferred that she let Rhaenyra's Sir Eric know that there was another Sir Eric in the castle, because otherwise he wouldn't have known, right? And she noticed on her way to the ship that there was another Sir Eric. So, yeah, I think there was more with her scene, but I really didn't. I don't think I really grasped the importance of what was kind of going on between the two. But it really seemed kind of like a bonding over the fact that Daemon is who he is, and he uses people, right? Just like Otto Hightower. And Rhaenyra and her are kind of in somewhat similar situations in some sense, you know. And I thought that scene was really, I don't know. I like that kind of back and forth between them, and I was kind of hoping that she would work for her, because I was like, I feel like you guys would be pretty awesome together. But
yeah. But yeah, as she was leaving to go to her ship that would carry her away from where they are now, over to like Pentos or whatever, she ends up seeing the treacherous Sir Eric coming up, and she does like this kind of like pause, looking to the side type of thing, and like you said, it can only be inferred that she provided a warning to the castle to be on the lookout for this. However, as the treacherous Sir Eric is weaving his way through, I guess I can just say like the green Sir Eric, because there's the green and the blacks and everything, but yeah, as the green Sir Eric was kind of going through the castle, he sees his twin, and he hides a bit, and then sees how his twin isn't wearing a helmet like he is, and how he's kind of like acting, so he loses his helmet, makes himself look just like his twin, and then goes around locking doors, weaving his way through the castle. And then he eventually goes into Rhaenyra's bedchambers, where Rhaenyra's laying down. And it's like, yeah, time to die. When he is confronted by none other than his own brother. What did you think of this fight scene, Mike?
It was good. I mean, they fought the Sir Eric, Rhaenyra Sir Eric, the Black Sir Eric, whatever. Did a really good job of having to, you know, kind of keep Rhaenyra behind him. Honestly, at a certain point, you lose track of who's who.
Yeah, exactly. I lost track completely of who was who.
And I think that was done on purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's kind of the thing, too. Like, at the end, there would have been no way. There would have been no way for them to be able to trust Eric again.
Yep.
Which makes the decision that he made make
take
more
his own
sense.
life.
Also, the fact that he killed his brother, who he loved, and didn't want to kill, even though the other one was ready to kill him, which I thought was so interesting. Like, it really showed, like, I don't know, the impact that the two sides have had on each other. And if you are to pick a side, I think it does kind of come clear here that, like, the green side is willing to do some really dirty stuff, whereas the black side hasn't done that. At least, like, from Rhaenyra herself, right? You've had Daemon do stuff like that. Rhaenyra hasn't. On the green side, you've had both Sir Criston Cole orchestrate this. You've had Otto Hightower parading the child, right? Like, you've had all of that happen. You even had...
You had Aegon ordering the hangings.
Yeah, like, they've done some really messed up stuff, whereas, like, Rhaenyra has not. She is not stooped. They also, you know, the brother there on the green side killed Rhaenyra's kid. He didn't mean to, right? That kind of came out in this episode, too, and I did want to talk about that scene as well. But I think that really showed, too, kind of these two sides. You know, Rhaenyra's side is, even though they're in this conflict, like, she is trying to sort of be, like...
She's taking the high road.
Yeah, not stooping down to these levels. It shows, like, kind of that like...
It shows the characteristics of leadership as well, that she's able to set all these grievances to the floor and just continue to be steady, continue to be fair-minded, and go about things the right way.
Correct. And you don't see that from the Hightower side. And you've never kind of seen that from Otto, right?
No.
He wants peace and all of this, but, like...
He's willing to do anything for it.
Yes. And Rhaenyra is, like, she'll do stuff for peace, but, like, she's going to do it the right way. At least as of now. We don't know. I don't know what's going to happen throughout this conflict. I'm sure at some points it's going to be compromised. But at least up until now, like, even the people who follow her are willing to do the right things and act the right ways. Like, that Eric, the Blackster Eric, don't really love saying that either. He told his brother, "I love you. I don't want to do this. Like, why are we?" And his brother's just like, "I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to kill her because I was told to." And it's just like, you've compromised all of your morals and everything else for these people who don't care about you.
See, I think at that point, the Greens, Sir Eric, realized he was dead. There was nothing else that could happen. Like, worst thing that he could imagine came to pass. He ended up getting in a conflict with his brother, and it was like, at least I can try to do my duty to end the pretender queen, Rhaenyra, and at least have that part be done right. Because he realized he's dead. Like, there's no coming back for him. Like, even if he was able to kill Rhaenyra at that point, he's not getting back to the King's Landing.
Yeah, that's fair, but, like, him willing to, like, kill his brother to do that.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, he sort of sacrificed everything.
Definitely.
So, yeah. Now, we had a couple of smaller parts. So, at the end of this fight, anyway, we're assuming it's the Green Sir Eric who won. Because he kind of says, "Your Grace."
You mean
or
the
Rhaenyra's
Sir Eric, yeah.
Because he comes over and he's like, "Your Grace." And obviously the other one wouldn't have said that.
Right.
And then he kills himself. He's like, "Forgive me," and then kills himself. Presumably because he killed his brother.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like I said, it would be hard for them to know that was actually him.
Right.
I'm sure there would have been something. He would, if you had questioned him about some of the stuff at the castle, they could have figured it out probably pretty easily. But presumably he killed himself because he killed his brother, and he didn't want to live with that. Mm-hmm. And that sucks, because, like, he was cool. Now, there was a couple other things in this episode I want to talk about. One is Aegon's brother there, the one-eyed...
Aemon.
Aemon was in the brothel talking to prostitute, and he's like, it's pretty much his therapist, honestly.
Yeah.
And he's just like, kind of, I feel kind of cool. Like, it's kind of cool that, they wanted to kill me. I wasn't even in the castle because you were with me. Oh yeah, because I was with you. And he's like bundled up like a small child, and it's really interesting because it shows, like, even though he's done like he has this like facade, like, I'm so badass,
I'm a bad boy,
right?
yeah.
He's really not. He's a kid. He's still a kid, and that kind of comes through in that scene. And also too, that he's he does feel pretty bad about the fact that he killed his cousin,
half-brother.
nephew, I don't know, half-brother, whatever.
Yeah.
Weird thing it is.
Well, so his nephew.
Yeah. His nephew. Like, he does feel kind of bad about it. And I think, honestly, he probably feels a lot worse than he let on, because
definitely
doesn't seem like he's really processed the fact that he did that.
And he
but he talks
really
about,
escalated the war.
Yes, he did. And he talks about how he, like, oh, they used to pick on me as a kid because I was different. And he's talking about that stuff, and it's like, yeah.
Keep telling yourself that.
Yeah, like, it's some weird stuff, like some uncomfortable stuff.
It really was his therapist that he was talking to. He wasn't talking to a sexual partner. He was talking to a therapist at that point.
Well, she does, yeah. She's like, oh, do you want to, get it on? He's like, not here. Yeah. Which is weird, too.
I think he was just wanting, kind of like how we saw the Unsullied in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Kind of
good
get
connection.
like cuddled by the prostitutes and just like be held and feel the warmth of another connection there. Yeah. I think that's kind of what Aemon was going for.
Yeah. So we had that scene with him. And then we had another one, which it was right before the Ratcatcher scene. It was the merchant who had gone to King Aegon and had asked for money. Mm-hmm. And he, I think the purpose of the scene was to show the effect of the blockade on on
the small folk
Landing.
and on King's Landing.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I had to pay extra for a chicken and this, and like this child they were caring for is sick, and you're starting to see a little bit of that squeeze come in, and I'm sure they're doing that to slowly like build up to whatever tension's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's 100% being done to show the plight of the small folk during this conflict of two giants, meaning the Greens and the Blacks, and how the small folk are still the ones getting crushed regardless of what's happening between the two sides. And also, I just can't help but shake the feeling that it's to show, like, something brewing, you know what I mean? Like, is something going to reach ahead? Is that daughter who is sick going to die? And then that's going to have an impact on the small folk rebelling against the crown because they didn't follow their promises or something like that. Like, you're just, like, kind of seeing the small folk perspective a little bit more than you have in episodes past.
Correct. Oh, and there was one other scene, too, and I don't know the importance of this one. It was two sailors.
Oh, yeah. So it was the people that saved, what's his last name?
The sea snake?
Valerian. I forget his first name. Anyways, the sea snake. There's the guy that saved the sea snake's life and what appeared to be his brother or something like that. Basically saying, oh, yeah, you should, ask for a reward because you did this thing. And I don't really know. It was kind of out of place, I think, but I don't really know where they're going with this. Yeah. I have an idea, but I don't
have an idea,
know.
too. Can I just shoot my shot?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I'm thinking, because at the end, like, the brother who was, like, saying, oh, you should go ask for a reward or whatever, sees Daemon, I believe it's Daemon, flying away on his dragon and, like, that look of awe and everything else on his face. I think it might be slight foreshadowing that he may try to become a dragon rider.
So I'm just going to say 2 words. Dragon seeds. And we'll leave it at that. But yeah, we can leave it at that. I won't tell you exactly what that means, but you'll see maybe in the next episode it'll be referenced. Okay. But yeah, that's really what we've got going on here. To answer your question, because I never did, in the book, Blood and Cheese do get found and murdered. Okay. However, they are both found dead in an alley, as opposed to something else going on here. So it kind of gives the impression that maybe they reported back to Daemon and Daemon killed him. But we don't know for sure what went down there. But anyways, that is what we've got for this episode here. Overall, what were your impressions of this episode, the way the series is going so far?
It's good. Yeah. Definitely, just like the first season, it's just slow boil. Like, this one's having a bit more spikes, but still a slow boil to something bigger. We haven't really gotten a big all-out anything yet. Definitely.
And if I know anything from reading George R.R. Martin, it's coming. So we'll see. But that's what we got for you for this week here. So we'll be back next week to cover episode 3. And this is going to be 2 Nerds signing off. Goodbye.
See ya.